Kansas City Chiefs 31, Los Angeles Chargers 17. Chiefs move to 6-1 on the season, full control of the AFC right now, and then the Chargers fall to 2-4. Mahomes finishes with a ridiculous game, had over 300 yards in the first half. He goes 32 for 42 for 424, 4 touchdowns, had a pick in there as well. And then Travis Kelce, 12 catches for $179. Felt like he was just wide open over the middle of the field, just sitting there by himself for the majority of the game. PFF senior analyst Ben Stockwell said he was giving me a little breakdown on the Chargers' defensive game plan as he was grinding the film here. It was either triple team Kelce, which they did it. They did a lot more of that in the second half. It was either triple team Kelce or leave him wide open. But he was quite open in the middle of the field.
Yeah,
for a lot of the game.
I kind of understand how he gets so open a lot because of the way those two operate. You know, the sort of ad-lib, find space, just adjust into the space. Like, there's a degree to which it's difficult to stop that because if you're playing zone, effectively he has license to just go where the space is, right? And it's quite difficult to shut that down as a defense without compromising everything else. So I kind of get how he consistently gets that open. What I'm confused by is actually how the rest of the play is designed that doesn't foul up his space. Like, how does he consistently find space without there being anybody else dragging defenders into it? It's almost like the entire play is designed, you know, like a clear out route. We're going to send this guy vertically, and that's going to drag some defenders out of the way, and then there'll be a gap in the middle. It's like everything is a clear out, right? Everyone just sort of head to the perimeter of the field, and then that will drag all the defenders away, and then Kelce just needs to go the other place.
And we'll just play a little one-on-one.
Right, and then Kelce just finds where the one guy remaining is and goes in the opposite direction, and we've got a wide open first down. There must be something like that happening where, because every time he finds this wide open space over the middle, the most amazing thing to me is not the lack of proximity to a defender, it's the lack of proximity to another receiver. Like, nobody else in the Chiefs is anywhere near him.
Oh, I know. It really is unbelievable. So there was a whole bunch of that. Mahomes with an awesome scramble drill touchdown. And again, when we talk, kind of like what I described with the Ravens, the Chiefs offense, they've pretty much had 2 games this year, and they've been a good offense, but they've had 2 games this year where they looked like the Super Bowl champion Chiefs offense. Right. This is one of them, the Bears game a few weeks ago. But like, when the Chiefs are on, it's a combination of why aren't you covering this guy? Why are these receivers open? And then when the receivers aren't covered, Mahomes scrambles and creates, Marquez Valdes-Scantling coming from the other side of the field for a 46-yard touchdown on a scramble drill. So it's just like everything seems to be working. Mahomes was really sharp, again, other than just kind of like chucking it up for an interception. But early on, it was like a classic Chiefs-Chargers game, which is the Chargers defense they rarely stop the Chiefs. But the Chargers have some explosive, ability, and they hang with them, right? I mean, Joshua Kelly had a 49-yard touchdown in there, and then as the Chiefs tried to pull away, you have a 60-yarder to Josh Palmer, and it's like, all right, game on here. It's going to be Herbert versus Mahomes. It was 17-17 at one point after Herbert found Gerald Everett, and it was like, all right, we've got a shootout on our hands. But then just before the half, the Chiefs go 96 yards on 6 plays. Again, the explosive nature of the offense was in full effect yesterday for the Chiefs. Big plays to get off their own goal line, score with 21 seconds left in the half. They score, and then the Chargers get shut out in the second half.
Yeah.
To me, the story of the game was the complete nature of this game for the Chiefs, how great their offense looked, again, but also the fact that, oh, by the way, the defense gave up some big plays early on, but they're still one of the best defenses in the league. They're giving up about 15 points a game, and that's the best defense we've seen in the Mahomes era.
Yeah, it was a strange performance from Herbert. In the first half, he played really well. Now, he also missed a touchdown again. Like, this is the second week in a row where he's missed what should have been a touchdown, just overthrows the receiver. But the first half, he was really good, and it looked like we might have this just incredible shootout. And for like Mahomes is going to lead the league in games where he threatens the single game passing record at the half and then doesn't get anywhere near it by the end of it. He's done this several times. Remember the game where like Tyreek Hill had 200 yards in the first quarter or whatever it was, right? And then none of that happened. Like it's like that game, Tyreek Hill was going to break the single game pass or the single game receiving record. Mahomes is going to break the single game passing record. Neither of those happened. He had 321 passing yards at the half. The single game record is 554 or something.
Yep.
And has stood since God knows when. And then they didn't get that done in the half. But for the first half, like Mahomes got his 300 yards. They're putting up insane numbers. Herbert is playing really well. Isn't quite as productive, but they're only a score down. And it looked like we were going to get this incredible battle. And then, the Chiefs kept going and the Chargers didn't really. Like Herbert was not nearly as good in the second half, and the defense absolutely clamped down on him.
Charles Omenihu made his return for the Chiefs, made an impact. A couple sacks, had a batted pass that got intercepted. Remember, Herbert's coming in.
Yeah.
The Chargers are driving. They're in the red zone. Omenihu tips it, and it gets intercepted. That was all part of the second half shutout that the Chiefs threw. You mentioned the stat on Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Going back to the way the Chiefs built this team with Chris Jones, a defensive tackle who can line up on the edge. I'll let you talk about that stat. George Karlaftis had a bunch of pressures. Charles Omenihu comes back off suspension. Remember, he was my Tyree Wilson comp from a body type standpoint. Big and long. He can win inside. He can win outside. It feels like the Chiefs, not only have they been a very good defense, but now they've got the defensive line depth that they built and a whole bunch of different style pass rushers that they can move around. And once again, Chris Jones, when you throw him on the edge, he wins.
He really does. And he played on the edge quite a lot in this game. But he has the best – like it feels when you're watching games with the Chiefs playing that Chris Jones sort of moves himself to the edge for the highest leverage plays. Like he's decided he sort of can't play there full time. We know that doesn't really work. But if he lines up on the edge, he knows he'll have a quick win because he's 310 pounds and it's a weird body type and just surprising deal for offensive tackles to deal with. And he almost always wins that first play. And he sort of times it for like the biggest plays in the game. So in this game, he lined up, I think, 10 snaps on the edge and 6 of them were on third down. So he really does time it for like those high leverage situations. And it seems like he always wins. And I dialed up his pass rush win rate when he's lined up on the edge this season. And it's the best pass rush win rate of any player in the NFL. Like it's whatever it was, 5 percentage points, 4 percentage points higher than Rashawn Gary, who, as you said, is on pace to like set the record, right?
Yeah.
Chris Jones is 4 percentage points better than that when he's lined up as an edge. So it really is like one of the biggest kind of cheat codes from a pass rushing standpoint in the NFL is the plays where Jones decides to go out and beat up on an offensive tackle.
It is amazing because when he was forced to play on the edge that one year, he wasn't great.
He was good,
but he wasn't great. Like from like a down-to-down standpoint,
right.
It felt like the Chiefs are worse because they were so bad at.
That was the big part.
The Chiefs were worse though, but it does feel like when he goes there right now, he knows the move against this tackle that's going to work.
But I think
whether
it's also
shutting it down against the Bengals or late in the game, whatever it might be.
I think it makes a far bigger impact when he only does it 10 times in a game.
Right.
When he's out there every play, an offensive tackle has time to get used to this monster. And I think there's merit to the fact that now he's back to being 310, 315 pounds than there was when he had to lose weight to try and play on the edge full time. Like that probably made a difference. I think one of the reasons it's so difficult to stop right now is because the dude is still 310. He's the same weight as the offensive tackle trying to block him. When he was slimmed down to like 285 or whatever he dropped to that time, I mean, you're 20 pounds lighter than you were. You're not as strong.
That's what, and again, that goes back to, I think when you have those different body types, even FAU and Ndike Azama, the first rounder, he hasn't had a great start to his career or anything, but he's got that, Gumby, flexibility aspect to him. Karlaftis is a bull rusher. Omenihu's got crazy length. Chris Jones is 310, as you mentioned, with quickness, speed, and power. If you're an offensive tackle, remember when we talked to a Mitchell Schwartz or a Joe Thomas on the show, how much they have to study their opposing pass rushers. So when you're not going up against one guy, you're going up against 3 or 4 different rushers, different body types. That is a fascinating, difficult task for a tackle, and the Chiefs are exploiting it.
So on the season, almost 80% of his snaps on the edge are lined up or are on 3rd and 4th down. And on just 3rd and 4th down, now look, we're getting into pretty small sample sizes at this point, so take the numbers with a grain of salt. But on 3rd and 4th down, his pass rush win rate is 39%. It goes up even higher. Like every single element of this, the more high leverage the situation, the more likely it is that Chris Jones is going to win.
I don't know if this is one of those regress to the mean or like the Chiefs found something type of deals.
I think they found something.
Yeah.
Now, it may regress to the mean anyway, but like I'm not saying he will be the most destructive pass rusher that we've ever seen if he continues doing this. But I do think that we found an element where he is more successful and more dangerous doing this than just rushing from the interior randomly, again. Like actually moving outside in high leverage situations seems to make a difference.
Chargers offense, I do believe, and Tony Romo did mention this, that they do miss Mike Williams. So you have a game like Josh Palmer had a fantastic game with 5 catches for $133, but it does feel this year where it's very fragile if, Keenan Allen heavy offense. You don't have that ability of when things are covered. And think about how many times I said that. There were plays where the Ravens were covered, but Lamar Jackson made a play. There were plays where the Chiefs were covered, right? The Chargers covered the Chiefs well, but Mahomes found a way to make a play. The Chargers equivalent to that was everything's covered. Well, Mike Williams will catch one. He'll flip the field for us with a big play. They're missing that. And I really feel like that was a big part of, the inconsistency in the second half. If the Chiefs aren't busting a coverage for a 60-yarder, what do you have? They could give the extra attention to Keenan Allen. You don't have enough other weapons. Quentin Johnston had his 1 catch for 20. He doesn't have the same type of ball skills that Mike Williams has to just, catch those back shoulders or, go up and win at the catch point over and over again. Makes the Chargers offense feel a little fragile here. But they fall to 2-4, man. For the 15th straight year. They've disappointed me.
Yeah. Still no real major impact from Joey Bosa. 28 pass rushes, 2 pressures.
Yeah, it felt like Mahomes had a lot of – it is funny when you see – it felt like he had a lot of time and ability to navigate. He had that another crazy 3rd and super long scramble for 20-plus yards, whatever, with 23-yarder. And then the next play – they played better in their gaps and everything. It is so difficult to figure out, do you want to rush him? Do you want to make sure he's not going to escape? And I think that helps the Chiefs' offensive line and their ability to block. Plus, the Chiefs' offensive line does a nice job kind of locking those guys up so you can let Mahomes navigate. And I thought the O-line played great for the Chiefs. They played great all around.
Yeah.
Probably their most complete game, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, this was – we sort of said, like, if you look at their season, there was that one game against against Chicago when, they were threatening to hang 70 on them the way the Dolphins had just hung 70 on the Broncos before slowing down the second half. But, like, one game against terrible defense, we were like, this is the Chiefs we know and expect. Every other game, they kind of struggled on offense and really made it a grind. And this was the first one where that looked like the Chiefs again. Another element of that might be the, I think, steady emergence of Rashee Rice as maybe their best wide receiver. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had a big play for the first time in a while. Obviously, Travis Kelce was their number 1 guy. But, like, if Rashee Rice actually becomes their number 1 receiver and sort of elevates it in a way Sky Moore simply hasn't even threatened to do so far in his NFL career, I mean, that potentially moves a needle for them, like giving them a receiver that can make an impact as well as Travis Kelce.